white. Great white sharks are true super predators, and they rule the food chain. A fully grown great white can dwarf an average-sized truck, and the shark is twice as heavy. 52-inch long teeth are constantly being replaced, always sharp and always ready. Even the great white's skin, tough as armor, helps in the hunt. The texture traps passing water, creating an envelope that silences the hunter's torpedo-like ambush. Few creatures could withstand the fury of a full-blown assault. When great white sharks hunt these marine mammals, they are surprisingly cautious. Like any predator on the hunt, even the giant sharks can get hurt, and a fully grown seal can be a formidable foe. The shark's solution is to strike from beneath and inflict a devastating wound on its prey. The predator then retreats to a safe distance while the unfortunate victim weakens or bleeds to death. Finally, the great white returns to claim and consume its meal. It is a July afternoon in South Africa.
Yo, there's waves all over the place, eh?
Just after 1 p.m., 15-year-old Shannon Ainsley heads out to catch some waves off East London's Nahoon Reef beach. With him are his brother Brandon and a couple of friends. A natural athlete, Shannon wants to climb up the surfing circuit. He spends nearly half of every day in the ocean. All South African surfers are aware that someday they might share liquid space with sharks.
Should we say a prayer? Father God, we just want to thank you so much for...
The Ainsleys and their friends always say a prayer before entering the water.
Keep everyone safe and getting attacked by any sharks, Lord. Let us have some good fellowship, Lord, and let us glorify you in the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. 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 Let's go. Thanks.
But on this day, something will go terribly wrong. Shannon paddles out. For about an hour, the surfers catch one tremendous wave after another. Then, the unbelievable happens. This is video of the actual event accidentally shot by someone on shore. Shannon Ainsley is attacked by two 16-foot great white sharks at the exact same time. How is this possible? The odds against being attacked by just one of these fearsome predators are astronomical. A simultaneous attack from two of them seems virtually impossible. And yet, it happened. Why would two sharks target the same person? Did Shannon unknowingly do something to make himself bait? Or is he somehow more attractive than others? The impact catapulted him several feet into the air. This attack was not a shark inspection. Shannon was targeted. He was hunted by not one, but two great white sharks. Why? The answers may lie hidden at the scene of the attack, the famous waves of East London's Nahoon Reef, and the discovery of clues that raise chilling questions about great whites and the targeting of Shannon Ainsley. The waters off South Africa are home to some 100 different species of shark. But only one rules. Great whites are the masters here, and the biggest lure for many humans. Here, the sharks are offered up in various ways to the public. The curious can take home a white shark token and even get safely into the water with the sharks themselves. They seem to regard the sharks without fear.
There's one of them smiled at me earlier.
To the max, man.
The sharks are awesome.
Most along the South African coast seem happy to share their ocean with the giant sharks, so long as it's from the safety of a cage, a boat, or even shore. But many here choose to enter their realm with no more protection than a wetsuit. Some surfers in the area jokingly refer to themselves as shark biscuits. There's a reason why. Worldwide, 1/3 of all attacks by the great sharks are on people surfing, more than any other human activity. These adrenaline junkies are well aware of the risks. And with more than 1,000 confirmed great whites in South Africa's waters, it's no surprise that almost every surfer in East London knows of or has had an unscheduled encounter.
I know 3 people who've been attacked. In fact, another guy, 2 that I know of, that's also been attacked. Yeah, a couple of guys.
I was attacked, felt this like a shark come up and grab my ankle.
About 4 years ago I got bumped. It's just on the arm.
It's a common occurrence. It happens, you know. These things happen now and then. Yeah?
But even these seasoned veterans of the waves were unprepared for what happened to Shannon Ainsley. How had 2 of these wide-ranging predators closed in on the same target at the same time when the ocean they prowl is so vast? Could the answers lie in the sea where the ambush took place?
It was a clear day, very nice swell, blue water.
Billy Moritz is a marine biologist, now in charge of beaches in East London. He's investigated many shark attacks on surfers.
And what time of the day did it happen?
Around about lunchtime. It was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Michael Scholl is also a marine biologist and the administrator of the White Shark Trust in South Africa.
It's the reef where they surf.
Shannon and his friends knew the best spot to catch the big waves, near the offshore reef that has made this beach a surfing mecca.
How deep is it around there?
It is not very deep there because of the reef. But
around the reef?
Around the reef it's about 10-15 meters.
Could the deeper water have meant cooler surf conditions?
How cold was the water temperature when Shannon got attacked?
It was on the 17th of July and it was in the region of 14 degrees Celsius.
That may seem cold, but it's actually a bit warm for the winter ocean. The day before Shannon was attacked, a westerly wind blew tropical currents toward shore.
And the westerly wind does warm the water up a bit. That brings in the warmer water from the deep ocean.
If the wind had brought the warm water into shore, could it also have have brought the sharks. Most fish are cold-blooded and are highly dependent on the surrounding ocean temperature to survive. Great white sharks, however, can recycle the heat generated by their muscles to regulate their body temperature. This allows them to hunt in all types of conditions, from the warm reefs of the tropics to the chilly fjords of Norway. Warm water alone wouldn't bring them to shore. Whatever brought them, Shannon Ainsley never saw them coming.
He never saw a shark. I don't believe he ever saw the shark.
Though their name comes from their ghostly white undersides, the top of the shark is counter-shaded. This makes them nearly invisible to their prey when they strike from the depths below.
What happened with Shannon?
Well, I think there were about 15 of them surfing. His brother had just gotten out of the water. And he was hit very hard from beneath by a shark. A big shark was flying through the air. Everybody was screaming.
I just heard a commotion behind me. People were screaming, shouting, shark, shark, shark. I immediately thought about Shannon. I immediately thought to myself that the worst might have happened.
Brandon watched the water, searching for a sign that his brother had survived the onslaught. But what chance did Shannon have? Could anyone survive such a massive attack? The footage of Shannon Ainsley's attack gives no clear indication of the extent of his wounds. But the possibilities are horrifying. Just how much damage can a white shark inflict on its target? Halfway around the world, investigators consider the consequences of its fearsome design.
This was an attack that occurred about 8 years ago.
What are the odds of someone surviving something like that?
Well, it really depends on where they're bit. Typically, surfers are bitten on the lower leg, and it could be a grave situation since a lot of the big vessels in your body are in your lower limbs.
Dr. Scott Yerby is an orthopedic engineer who knows about shark bites firsthand. He was attacked by a great white while surfing off the coast of Northern California.
This was my leg right here. Here's the quadriceps, and here's the hand injuries. Here's a different image of that same wound.
I can't believe how straight it is.
The doctor actually said that these wounds were cleaner than any scalpel blade he could ever perform.
The key to their being able to cut through flesh and bone is having these teeth that are so sharp, and they're rather slender. It makes them almost like, sort of like razor blades.
Professor Greg Erickson studies the comparative bite forces of predators at Florida State University.
Even though these animals are dulling their teeth or breaking them, they have backup teeth behind here that kind of roll out like a conveyor belt. In a lifetime, we'll go through in many ways, this thing's the ultimate killing machine. Imagine poor Shannon Ainsley trying to survive an attack from 2 of these animals.
As he searched the waves, Shannon's brother feared the worst. Then, Brandon caught sight of Shannon's surfboard. The damage did little to calm his fears. Finally, Brandon saw something he could hardly believe.
I noticed that a few of the surfers were getting out, and I saw one last surfer. It was Shannon.
Miraculously, Shannon Ainsley emerged from the waves alive. Somehow, he had survived the attack of 2 great white sharks.
I never knew there were 2 sharks at the time. I only found out 2 days later when I saw the video.
Even more incredibly, Shannon's injuries were minor. He walked away from his confrontation with two 16-foot sharks with only lacerations on one hand.
I feel so blessed because neither of the sharks came back for me and tried to attack me again.
But why had they tried in the first place? Is it possible that Shannon unknowingly sent out a signal that called the predators directly to him? Great whites are armed with highly tuned senses that have pinpointed prey for millions of years. Which of them led the sharks to Shannon? Great white sharks have been known to cover thousands of miles of ocean in just a few months. How did two of them end up at the same place at exactly the same time? Some may suggest it's simply a coincidence, but new evidence points to something else entirely.
Shark coming up here on the left.
Research done by Michael Scholl and other biologists here seems to show that great white sharks tagged in the waters near Cape Town are actually swimming up the coast of Africa to East London at certain times of the year. Namely, in June and July, just when Shannon Ainsley was attacked. But what could be drawing them towards East London? There is no sea lion colony here. There are no dive boats or chumming. Something else must be the attraction.
Towards the first 2 weeks of June, we normally have the sardine run, where huge schools of sardines move up the coast. These sardine schools are trapped in a narrow band of cold water between the warm current and the land, and they come very close inshore. There's a huge feeding frenzy going on. You can actually see it swarming over the sea. You can see the birds diving, and you see the seals and the dolphins. It's one big feeding frenzy when the sardines move past here.
Basically, you've got in one place the whole food chain kind of lined up. If you've got the little sardines, behind that you'll have the bigger fish, Cape salmon, tuna, and behind them you've obviously got the big sharks following the bigger fish. So it's basically a huge feast, all-you-can-eat buffet for just about every predator, and predators come from far into this area to follow the sardines.
Could large numbers of white sharks also be following this movable feast?
White sharks don't eat just seals. I mean, they eat mainly fish.
A white shark grows slowly, and it's nearly a decade before an individual is able to tackle a seal or a sea lion meal. Until then, the sharks live almost exclusively on fish, especially oily tuna, until they gain the size and experience they need to turn their attention to larger prey. The sardine run would almost certainly attract large numbers of great whites. And if the sharks follow the sardines to East London in June, what happens if the giant schools move on and the sharks don't? The same conditions that drive the fish onward also bring the best surf of the year to East London. And that brings even more surfers. Could the sharks be lingering offshore just as the menu is changed?
July is certainly the best month for surfing in East London, roughly 2 or 3 weeks after the sardines have been passed here. If you consider the amount of man hours that are spent in the water surfing, it is a combination that does cause problems for us during the month of July.
Shannon Ainsley was attacked on July 17th. Almost without exception, shark attacks in East London take place in July. But while the sardine run might explain how more great whites can end up in East London waters, it doesn't resolve why two of the sharks would attack the same human victim at the same time. Like many apex predators, great whites are often thought to be solitary creatures. But that, it turns out, is only part of the truth. Great whites seem to have a complex social structure, one that scientists are only beginning to study, and their interactions are not always cordial. Quite often, sharks may bear scars and bite marks that can be traced to other individuals in the same region. The wounds can be minor or severe and testify to a hierarchy that seems based on competition and intimidation. Great white sharks have remarkable visual abilities. They can see in color and also have what is called polarized vision. It's a feature that allows them to distinguish silvery or dark prey from the rest of the watery world. But their acute vision suffers as night approaches, forcing them to be more cautious and less active. This might explain why there are virtually no attacks on humans at night by great whites. The creatures may not hunt after dark. But the animals are designed to see extremely well during daylight hours, making it extremely unlikely that they confuse people with marine mammals. Yet there was nothing about Shannon or his board that distinguished him from the others. At midday, all the surfers would have been backlit by the sunlit world up above. The sharks would see only solid shapes. Shannon did not stand out visually. Something else must have drawn the sharks to him. Was it simply the luck of the draw? Some might say so, if this were the end of the story. But unbelievably, Shannon Ainsley's encounters with great white sharks were just beginning. The fact that Shannon Ainsley survived an attack from two great white sharks is simply astonishing. How did it happen? Shannon couldn't recall, but he has pieced the story back together using the only shreds of evidence that remain: the accidental video and the board he was riding.
The one shark went from my board over here, and then the shark bit onto the board.
One ended up with a mouthful of surfboard. But what of the other?
The second shark didn't get me at all. And as soon as the shark on the left-hand side bumped me into the air, the other shark sort of missed me.
That may have made the difference between life and death.
I think the shark on the left-hand side sort of saved my life, because if it didn't knock me into the air, the other shark would have put my head off.
It's hard enough to believe that Shannon survived this bewildering attack. But unbelievably, 2 years later, Shannon was targeted again while surfing another South African break.
I was just sitting on my board, and all of a sudden I just felt myself get picked up, and my board is flung up in front of me, and I fell back. I don't know how big the shark was, but it was quite a hard knock.
Once again, he was singled out from all the other surfers in the water. And once again, incredibly, he received no major injuries. And while it borders on the impossible, there is evidence that there was yet another attempted attack on Shannon.
There were about 40 people in the water when I paddled past this one guy, and then I turned around And about 2 meters away from me, I just saw this shark just going crazy and savaging the surfboard or the surfer.
Fortunately, the other surfer survived the assault, but was yet another shark gunning for Shannon.
I don't know why sharks are always attacking me.
What is it about Shannon that sharks find so attractive? Why do they hone in on him? As they cruised along the coastline in the wake of the sardines, the pair of hunting sharks may have been drawn towards the reef because of the splashing sounds made by the group of surfers. As they got closer, however, smell would be the next sense they would perceive. And Shannon has a habit that may make his scent more attractive to a shark.
I was just wondering, what do you do out there when you have to go pee?
Well, I normally just wee in my wetsuit there.
Urine, like blood, is filled with agents that are easily detected by the shark's highly developed sense of smell. The fact that Shannon relieves himself while surfing doesn't distinguish him from other surfers. It's the number of times he does so.
I just wee like 5 times in the surf.
Shannon urinates repeatedly while he's in the water, increasing the odds that a shark might smell him. Could this greater concentration of bodily fluid have led the sharks to hone in on Shannon again and again? We can't be sure. But sharks do possess one other sense in their arsenal that may cause them to lock on Shannon. It's an extraordinary power, and one that's completely invisible to us.
Look at that. You can see these little pores here. These are the ampullae of Lorenzini. Those allow them to sense electromagnetic signals.
Pretty amazing.
Sharks, including great whites, have special sensors that can detect minute changes in electrical fields. This video was shot by a scientist who studies their electrical sensitivity. Buried under the sand, in the leftmost circle is a weak battery, and the shark zeroes in on it immediately. Corroding metal also emits an electrical charge, which may help explain why sharks sometimes bite the safety cages of divers. Their interest may be in the cage itself, not in its contents. The small canals, or ampullae, are so sensitive they can even detect the electrical charges of an animal's nervous system or its beating heart inside the body of their prey, like some deadly EKG machine.
So do all living things give off electrical signals?
Yes, absolutely.
A human's electrical field is easily strong enough for a shark to detect.
Do you think certain people may be more interesting to sharks than others?
I think the answer is probably yes. It is quite possible that some people maybe are more prone to being attacked by sharks. It makes you wonder if people give off different electromagnetic signals that are more attractive to sharks.
Some scientists believe electromagnetism is the final sense a shark employs as it hones in on its prey. A great white shark rolls its eyes back in its head to protect them as it strikes its victim. But its sixth sense ensures that it never goes blind. Electromagnetism directs the bite of its awesome jaws. Could Shannon's electrical field, his aura, account for his strange attractiveness to the great predators? We may never know. Shannon, at least, is sure of one thing. he'll keep surfing regardless of whether his attractiveness is simply a statistical anomaly or the result of something we still don't fully understand.
It's such a good feeling to just feel the water underneath your surfboard and just to ride the wave and just be free.
And there are some things we can be sure of. Though the annual number of shark attacks has risen steadily over the past century, so has the number of people who are spending time in the predator's watery world. Precisely what causes any of these awesome creatures to attack us may always be a matter of speculation. But the numbers prove that encounters are rare. Every year, a few unfortunate people lose their lives to sharks worldwide. In the same period, millions of sharks of all species are killed by us. Any instance of shark attack is much more the exception than the rule.
If there was an attack each time a shark saw you, there would be 100 or 1,000 attacks a day. And that just doesn't occur.
Though attacks are rare, when they do occur, they can be devastating. These awesome predators have ruled the seas for 200 million years. We are but newcomers to their liquid world. Whenever we enter it, it should come as no surprise that these supreme creatures will remain the hunters. And we, at times, the hunted.
That's about as big as male. He's not worried about it. Hey, I think it's Fred.
Do you have any favourite sharks?